Sigfox was created 10 years ago by two founders, Ludovic Lemont and Christophe Fortet, with the idea that devices should be able to communicate in the same way people do. Every object in the world has got something to say. The problem with objects is that they're not alive, and therefore they cannot handle their capabilities on their own. So we needed to create a very simple technology to allow devices to communicate, and Sigfox was really created on that basis. 10 years ago the technology was created. 5 years ago we started to deploy the network based on this technology. And now we are present in more than 65 countries worldwide. This is, by the way, pretty unique to the telecoms industry. Having a technology developed in 65 countries in less than 5 years is second to none. We're now getting into this phase where we now have the network capability for devices to connect, and we're now working very actively with our partners worldwide to connect things to the network. So I think the key USPs, I suppose, of Sigfox are, basically around 4 topics. The first one is we are a global network. We are unique. This is a unique network that covers the world. Again, there is no other network able to do that today. We are a low power network. Low power is a very key characteristic of the Sigfox technology, only consuming very, very small microwatts to communicate. And that allows those devices to last not just days or weeks, but years, 5 years, 10 years. The third thing is that it has to be simple. We wanted to create something that is actually simple to implement, and simplicity is really key. Last but not least, it's a low-cost technology. For a device to communicate, if it's too expensive, there is no value in doing so. So it has to be low cost so that there is an incentive to connect a device. With existing technologies before, the cost of connectivity and the cost of the device was just way too high to justify. With Sigfox, we're now all of a sudden opening up a new era where basically devices can communicate at a low cost, justifying the ROI. Now, as I said before, 65 countries is our current coverage. We started 5 years ago mostly with Western Europe, because this is where Sigfox comes from originally. But then obviously we started to expand into key areas in developing or less developed countries. So we're now present in most of Latin America. We have about 10 countries between Africa and Middle East, and we have about 10 countries in APAC. First of all, we bring a technology which is so easy to implement that these countries, even though they're not maybe as advanced as others in their telecoms infrastructure, installing Sigfox is very, very simple. And actually, in Africa, a lot of countries, thanks to the cellular networks, were able to build infrastructure a lot quicker than any other country before, and they didn't really have to install wire lines because wireless network basically brought the capacity that they needed. Now Sigfox is exactly in the same way. It's very simple to install. You just have to install base stations in very selected locations, and you can cover a territory the size of Indonesia, for example, with just hundreds of base stations, not thousands or dozens of thousands like you need to with cellular networks. With regards to Indonesia, first of all, it's a very important country. I believe 200 million people. There are not that many countries in the world with that many people, so it is very, very critical for us to be successful in Indonesia. We do work with a partner like we do in every other country called KSU. We are starting the network deployment as we speak, and we now need to sort of, first of all, stimulate the market. Now, stimulating the market means talk to universities, design houses, startups, device makers, basically everybody that has an interest in developing new devices, new technology, new features, new capabilities. Now is the time to do this, working with the Sigfox team locally, as well as with KSU, which is our main partner there. Unique also aspect of Sigfox is that the device makers, platform developers, can develop whatever they want with Sigfox capabilities, and they don't have to pay any royalty to Sigfox. Our business model is made in such a way that we generate our revenue from our customers, not from our suppliers. So it's very important because it means it's very simple actually to basically develop devices without having the burden of the royalty that nobody would like to pay. Technology is actually open, available, and again, going to the Sigfox website, you can find all the information you need in order to get started with Sigfox.